Hey guys, it's Jasper, and today I'm going to be reading one of my favorite fairy tales from the collection The Turnip Princess and Other Newly Discovered Fairy Tales. So the story I'm going to be reading to you guys tonight is called In the Jaws of the Merman. But before I get too much into that, I'm going to pour some wine, and I would suggest that you guys do the same. Pour yourself something nice to drink if you haven't already. Ooh, la la la. There we go. Ooh, ta-ta. Yes. Clink. Because I'm not alone. I have friends out there somewhere. Oh, that's a nice wine. In the Jaws of the Merman. There was once a village near a large body of water, and many beautiful girls lived there. The more often they swam in the lake, the more lovely they became. Everyone adored them. Girls living in other places heard about them. They came in from many different regions to swim there. But since many were ugly and couldn't stay underwater as long as the girls in the village, they did not become prettier. In fact, many of them drowned. Girls stopped traveling there, but suitors from all 4 points of the compass came courting. All the girls in the village were married on one day. The morning after, there was an enormous uproar. Everyone was running, and the grooms had grabbed their wives by the hair and were pushing and shoving them to the point of exhaustion. And then they raced away. It turned out that there was something not quite right with the girls. They had fish scales. A judge appeared on the scene with his officials, took a look at the brides, and ordered all of them to be burned at the stake at once. As the flames were licking the stake, tall waves rose up and washed into the village, and a huge head emerged from the waters. It spewed water like a whale and put out the fire. The brides all walked across an arc of water as if it were a bridge, leading from the wood pile back to the water and then into the gate-like jaws of the merman. Since that time, girls no longer swim in the lake. Guys, isn't that... I need to give it like a second. Let it breathe. So what I like about this story so much is that, like, to me, it's the pinnacle of a fairy tale, of the genre, in the way that it does not explain itself. It just tells you tremendous, crazy, wild thing after another. It starts off the story, letting you know there's this village and girls there are all beautiful and they swim in the water. And you're like, well, there's nothing wrong with that, with swimming in the water and being beautiful and that sort of thing. But then you learn that the lake has sort of an enchantment on it, in that, or it seems maybe it's having an enchantment on it. That's my own, add-in. But the girls are becoming more and more lovely the more they swim. And you're like, I don't know, aquafit? But then the next line, you have girls who are flocking to the village because it's kind of like the next big beauty product. They're like, the girls that swim here, they're beautiful, and the more they swim, they get more and more beautiful. And so girls are like, well, that's where I need to vacation because bikini season is coming up and I would love to be more and more beautiful. So the girls come there. But then the fairy tale, in this just wonderful way, the line that says, but since they were ugly and really couldn't swim, no, so not that they couldn't swim, they couldn't stay underwater as long as the other girls. They didn't become prettier. In fact, most of them drowned. What fairy tale? What? And why do they need to hold their breath underwater for so long? What's happening? Who's drowning them? What's going on? Are they drowning from natural things, or is it the water, or is it the girls from the village who are getting prettier and prettier and don't want to share their beauty secrets? The fairy tale is like, there's no time for that. There's no time to explain, because sure, it didn't work out well for girls. But you know who did like going after, girls found out that they really shouldn't be going because they keep dying? Is the men. The men, the suitors come from all 4 points of the quarters, because yes, it's not the best place for girls because they keep dying, but the girls that are already there, they're beautiful and they make lovely brides. So come one, come all, suitors from all 4 corners of the earth, because not only can you find yourself a lovely bride, but all your chums, all your pals who come along with you, all of you guys are gonna have a big group wedding. And you're like, okay, so it's a romance story, like it's a romance. The suitors come and all the ladies get married on one day. Love? And the fairy tale's like, no, but there's no time to explain, because the next day, what do you know? All those men who came looking for lovely brides, they're pulling their wives by their hair out of the house, pushing and shoving them, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is a tragedy, like this is awful. I feel bad for these girls, all married to these jerks from out of town who now are just pulling them out. But then there's something really creepy and unsettling when it's like the men all at the same time, they're pulling their wives out by the hair out of the houses, and then they take off running. What are they afraid of? But the fairy tale is like, no, there's no time to explain, because this judge and his pals, they come and they decide, they take one look at the ladies and they're like, scales, which is a clear sign of black magic and is no good, so we'll burn them all at the stake. And you're like, that's not good for anybody. And the fairy tale's like, there's no time to explain, because you know what? The fire started coming up the stakes, and this big giant wave, which was in the shape of a merman's head, came, took the fire right out. All the brides got off their stakes that they were going to be burned on, and they just walk across this water bridge into the jaws of the merman. And you're like, well, I guess that's where the title comes from, in the jaws of the merman, but why did they go with him? Are they like daughters of the sea, or is he sort of this orchestrator, or did they orchestrate that, or like, are we supposed to feel bad for them, or the suitors, or the girls that died? And the fairy tale is like, no time for that. You're missing the main point. The main thing is, that's why girls don't swim in that water anymore. Ta-da! Fairy tale. So there's lots of reasons why I love that fairy tale, but that's one of the main reasons, is it's just so strange, and I love that it doesn't explain anything. It leaves all this room, for questions that can be answered. And when I read that story for the first time, I just thought, that could be an entire novel, right? Like, that could be an outline for a story. And it's kind of exciting. These stories are fun in that way, because they are smaller stories, but they're so much fun to read. And your mind asks 100, 1,000 questions. And isn't that how you'd like to leave your reader? Leave them asking questions. Leave them thinking, what was that about? And what's this? And well, what if it was that? Because if you could leave your reader asking questions, you've left your reader convinced. They buy the story. They see it as real. That's why they're trying to figure it out. They want it to be real. They want it to be true. They want to know. And that's where you want your reader. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this fairy tale reading by me. I plan to do more of these, hopefully once a week is the plan. We'll see how that goes. I love fairy tales, love reading fairy tales, I love being read fairy tales, and I like drinking wine and scotch and whiskey and coffee and a lot of things. So until next time, bottoms up. I forgot to say, leave some comments down below. I'd love to talk to you guys about these stories. If you disagreed with me about my opinion, about my love for this story, share down below. If you've read the story before, share down below. Comment down below. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. If there's a fairy tale you'd like me to read, comment down below. If there's a particular wine you would suggest, comment down below. Main thing is, guys, let's talk, let's chat, let's read stories together. And again, cheers, bottoms up, bye-bye.